people in real estate say they want to be luxury agents, right? Everybody says, I want to service the luxury people. And I said, luxury is not a price point. Luxury is how you make people feel. It's about a service. It's about letting the guy that's buying a $200,000 condo that's so excited feel the same exact way as the person buying an $8 million house. In fact, it's probably a bigger deal for the 200 than the 8 million.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Root of All Success, with me, the real Jason Duncan. I'm here today with another insanely amazing guest who's made it and then failed and made it again in the real estate business. Vikram Deol is my guest today. Vic is a great guy. We met through a mutual mastermind that we were part of here in the Nashville area. And I think you're really going to enjoy his perspective and his sense of humor about business and success. Vic, welcome to the show, man.
Bro, I'm pumped, dude. I've been looking forward for this since I saw it on my calendar this morning when I was like, what am I doing today? And I was like, oh yes, this is going to be a jam. So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope I offend at least 3 of your followers.
Well, you probably will. I've met you. I think that's a good over-under.
Hey, man, I'm a cowboy and I'm Indian, so I'm the only guy that can be deported and a deportee at the same time on your podcast.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, you got to go check it out. He's got the big 10-gallon white cowboy hat on. He's looking killer with the background. You got to go see Vic on video if you're listening to this on
killer.
If you're Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to, it's great, but you got to go check it on YouTube. All right, so Vic, you've built over $250 million in real estate sales. But in 2020, you hit rock bottom, depression, debt, personal crisis. What was the turning point that made you decide to completely rebuild your life from the inside out?
Man, my life has been great, right? Grew up great family, great household, families, doctor, brothers are good, everything, grandparents. But you don't realize what you don't realize, right? Like I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid, 4th grade jogathon, won a Sega Genesis, right? It's like $6,000, right? So I've always had this kind of internal hustle. I wasn't athletic. I was super scrawny. So I even still 200 pounds, pretty lean. I see myself as a small kid, even though I've done like therapy and work. And I just never saw myself, a lot of people say successful people have a little chip on your shoulder. The wealthiest 2 people I know still have chips on their shoulders. And I went to I moved up to Seattle to get married. I got divorced, got in a lot of trouble, was drinking a lot, making a ton of money. Life was good from the outside in, but the inside out was, man, it was like the pretty house, but the inside's just, nobody talks to each other. And I never talked to myself, and got in trouble with the law, ended up in jail for 30 days, 6-figure settlement, and lost the every man's dream girl, gorgeous, smart, giving, loving, like took care of me, right? The whole shebang. And I was just like, I know one day I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to end up behind bars for like good. Like God gives you warnings. And my 30-day was like, Vic, we've never seen this happen to somebody like you. I'm like, well, it's supposed to happen. Like, I don't see how you could see that as a positive. And went to jail, came out. Just remember being there by myself in this little shitty rental car in Seattle, parked on the curb because I didn't want to bring my car because I was scared somebody sees me, scared somebody to break into it. And just sat there and cried. I said, something's got to give. It took me a while to get around to it. I kept kind of battling, going back to the party life, bunch of girls. Thought, okay, I'm fine. I'm going to be okay. And then one day I just 120 miles up the street, going up a curve, nice, slick Seattle roads, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, nobody would think anything of it. Vic likes to drive fast. Vic likes to go crazy. No letter to anybody. No mom. Don't want to put that on them. Just gonna let go of the wheel. And I did. And I had my dog. I was like, we're going to go out together. Right? He's my ride or die. Like, he's not, what's he going to do by himself here? And he just looked at me and I was like, he talked to me. He was just like, bro, slow down. Not the car, like slow down in life. And I had an assistant that was stealing from me, fired the good assistant, had a shitty assistant. She was stealing from me, the new one. And, but she did one thing for us. And the reason I had to bring her into my world, because I had to go to a Tony Robbins event. And Tony did a 12-hour montage for his 3-hour spot. He went like 9 hours over. And I went to Tony Robbins. I got the platinum partnership, and I never went back to real estate sales. I said that year I came back home. I retired. We did, $1.5 million in commissions, which pretty decent. It's not like the best in the world, but for where we're at, it was pretty good after being in the business for a few years. And I just shut down, and I was like, if I don't find something, I'm going to find something bad. And that's where we're at now.
Wow. That's a powerful story, man. I would be interested to hear you give tell that whole story at some point on stage. Do you talk about that? Is there a YouTube video where you dive into that story anywhere?
I'm sure I've dived into it. It's nothing I'm embarrassed or ashamed about, right? I think the big thing about our stories is that they're just stories. They're just stories, you guys. Like, it's just who you are. Like, it is what it is. Like, you're not going to make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to love you. I'm sure I don't know. I think during COVID, I shared a lot more of it. And then I kind of got out of it, the sharing of of that personalized story. But I'm sure if you look hard enough, I don't know where to find it. I'm not the tech guy in my company. But I'm sure it's somewhere out there. But I do share it with clients, and it's actually going to come up. I'm glad this is being released in June, because we're having a live summit for our clients. I haven't shared with them ever why I went to jail.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a powerful story. I would encourage you to put that in a video, man. That would be a great story to hear if you're willing to tell it. Yeah. Well, let me ask you another question. You've been in sales since you were 17. So what made you fall in love with the process, and what's kept you so passionate through the ups and downs?
This is a sale right now, right? You're selling your audience to give their time to listen to us banter about things that may or may not be important to them. And it's a sale. And every sentence, everything that we share is either one follower falls off, or it's one person shares with somebody else. And everything we do is in sales. My father's a doctor. He prescribes not medication, he prescribes wellness, right? So he's trying to teach people to go from the typical pharmaceutical to having a bag of vitamins everywhere they go, so that they feel better. They're healthier. They're eating better. They have more energy, right? They're not having the 4 or 5 different things, right? But he's got to sell them on wanting to change what they've been told their whole life. And so at 17, I sold Cutco. And I remember my manager, he said, Vic, if you remember this, it was a 42-page document. If you memorize this referral script, hey, Mrs. Jones, I can only show Cutco to people I've been personally recommended to, but I can only show, Mrs. Jones, how'd you like the presentation? Oh, you were so cute, blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Hey, I can only show Cutco to people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need to do while I'm cleaning up, right? I memorized that at 17. And I got a ton of referrals. And then I memorized the other 10 pages he told me. And he said, over the next 30 days, you're going to memorize the whole thing. I just went into my bathroom and hotboxed the bathroom. And every time I memorized a page, I took a hit. Memorized a page, I took a hit. Memorized a page, got drunk. And I just was like a 17-year-old, like young, lost kid. But I made like $2,000 that first week. I worked at my parents' restaurant for $7 an hour. I made more that first week than I would have made all summer long working 40 hours a week. And I was like, this is crazy. And then I became a manager at 18. They said, hey, you are super into the office. you like seeing other people grow. Do you want to run your own office? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So 18, 2000, I had 47 people that decided to join me, and I taught them how to sell. And years later, they came back and they're like, this was the best summer ever. And we learned more from you than we learned from our MBA and our masters. Like, thank you for being online so we could find you. We were nervous, we were introverted, we were scared. And I'm like, all I did was teach you guys like this basic script that I didn't know any of the technology inside of it. I didn't know any of the psychology. I didn't know any of the tie downs. I didn't know what any of that was. I just knew that if you followed it, said what it said, had a little bit of personality, we role played in practice, we joked around, we cut some food, cut some leather, people made money and they got a great product. And then I started to study it as I got older, not until like I was in my 30s. And I was like, holy crap, this is a science. And it's a learnable science that the most introverted or the most extroverted person in the world can learn, and it changes their lives.
Yeah. Cutco has been the beginning of many a successful entrepreneur's career, but you've invested in coaching for people like Tony Robbins, Byron Katie, Jeremy Minor. What's the most uncomfortable truth you've had to confront during that personal development journey?
Oh, geez. You should have warned me for this one. Damn, bro. There's probably two. One is it's not my parents' fault. So there's a theory that Tony Robbins teaches that's called blame effectively. And so if you blame somebody for the bad, you have to blame them for the good. Because there's always the worst situation in my life turned out to be the best situation in my life. But it was the worst situation at one point. So blame effectively. And two, my parents are awesome people. Like they were just being, they were doing what they knew how to do, and nothing they did was to hurt us. And I had to learn as an adult to see them as the caretakers that they were, not the caretakers I wanted.
That's good. That's really good. Well, the method that you've developed, the TRIS method, Trust, Rapport, Influence, Sales, that isn't your typical high pressure framework. Why do you think so many real estate sales methods fail in today's market?
Because they're using, like, I didn't realize until probably mid-30s when I met this dude named Sharon that sales is a science. It's a replicatable. I knew it was a replicatable process, but I didn't understand like NLP. I didn't understand kind of like there was different formats of influence. And when I started to learn how influence works, and I feel like I'm just I just feel like I'm 1% in, if 1% in, right? And you learn how empathy and tonality, and you learn how body language and, like how you can like communicate on a Zoom versus communicate in the person, right? It's totally different, but there's similarities. And I feel like what most people teach in sales, not just in real estate, but sales in general, because what I use here, I use to sell high ticket coaching. I've taught my old business partner and their team that sells membership services for women with osteoporosis. That's their niche. It's called OsteoStrong. It's women with osteoporosis, 45 plus, normally 55, 60s that are diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia, right? These people come in freaking out. And if you don't get them to feel the pain of not making a change, then the pain of doing something new is scarier than the pain of trying what you have to offer. And the problem with most sales is that you're qualifying people to build a relationship. So if you think about it, like everybody says they want to build a relationship, but then they ask qualifying questions before they ask questions to get to know the person. So like, I was a little late to this call today. I apologize. And the woman that I was talking to said something like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's blah, blah, blah." And they go, "Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, you're looking at 123 Sheridan Street." "Yeah, I was." "Are you working with an agent?" And I'm like, that's your third question? She goes, yeah. And I said, what do people say? They go, well, we are, but we're not in a rush. Right? Like the trigger of sales resistance wasn't them on the phone with you. They were talking to you. They were sharing with you. It was you asked them a question that's qualifying, which is an automatic knee-jerk response of, hey, whoa, you're trying to take my money. And if you go back to like when we were in the cave, when you start to study this and you think about the psychology, if you go back to when we were in caves, if you take the person's resources, aka their shelter or their rock, the saber-toothed right tiger is going to come in and kill your family, and you die. Well, what's our rock and what's our shelter today? It's money, right? So if you take my money, you are taking away my ability to live. And we still rock in a primitive world, right? So like we still rock this primitive world and this primitive brain. And our brain is built only around one thing, and it's survival. And that's why change is so difficult, because our brain isn't built to change. Our brain is built to conserve energy, to keep the body functioning, right? That's why lions, the strongest animals in the world, lay down 19 hours a day, because they're conserving energy. And the second thing it's to do is to keep us alive. So when you understand that and you start to think about, why am I asking the questions I ask? You realize that they're just badly placed questions, and you realize like you've never actually created deep relationships with the people you work with.
So what do you believe is the number one mistake that real estate agents are making when they're trying to connect with clients, and how does your method help them avoid it?
Yeah, I mean, they ask questions like, are you working with an agent? Are you pre-qualified? Right? They're asking very surface level questions. So what I teach our clients, it's like, ring, ring. Hey, it looks like you're at our open house over the weekend. The comment, like if I role play with you and I'm like, ring, ring. Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm the real estate agent at 123 Apple Orchard Drive. Do you remember me?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I was just calling to get some feedback on the house.
It was nice. I liked it.
What else can you say to that question?
Yeah, nothing.
You already told me you don't remember me. And then I asked, can I get some feedback on the house? Horrible way. But if I call you like this, ring, ring.
Hello.
Jason. Hey man, what's up? It's Vikram Deol, Real Brokers. Hey man, I met you at an open house that had the big red door, nice waterfall in the backyard. I'm sure you don't remember me. You got a minute?
Yeah, I got a second.
Okay, cool, man. Do you remember that house by chance? It was over there in the Sheridan neighborhood.
Yeah, I do. I do remember. Yeah.
Hey, I was curious. This is a 4-bed, 3-bath house. Are you more interested in like houses of that size, or are you more interested in getting into that neighborhood?
We're looking for a house that size.
Okay. And are you guys just looking in that neighborhood, or are you guys looking in the outside vicinities as well?
No, anywhere with that size house.
Okay. And what would be different about a house of that size versus what you're currently in?
We're in a 3-bedroom now, so we need that extra bedroom.
Yeah, that makes sense that you need an extra bedroom. That's why you're looking for a 4. How would life be different with the 4-bed though versus what you have now?
I have a room for my office, so I could work from home.
Oh, where do you currently work from?
I got a co-working space I have to go to every day.
Oh, that doesn't sound so horrible. Gets you out of the house, gets you away. You got kids?
They're grown, yeah, but I have them, but they're grown.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't like the co-working space? Sounds like a pretty good deal.
It's a lot of money for not a lot of benefit.
Oh, okay. So it's more of just the money that would give you everything inclusive. Would it impact your life at all to not have to drive to the co-working space and have everything kind of like under one roof?
Well, I think I would prefer it. I don't know. I've never worked from home, so we'll have to see what that's like.
Dude, that might be dangerous, right? Like, I don't know. You might have the spouse hitting you up for doing chores. You might have the kids, the dogs, like the UPS driver. You might be better off just staying in the co-working space. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Right. So like now we actually know exactly what's going on here. Right. And I'm trying to push you away. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody say that they're working at a co-working. So it's the first time, but but I'm going to be like, hey man, why don't we do this? why don't we just sit down and grab a cup of coffee and talk about, what it might be like working from home versus a co-working space. I actually have a co-working space myself. I could tell you some of the pros and cons. And, if you guys decide that you want more information, we could talk about next steps. If you decide you don't want to make a move and you're cool with where you're at after we jam, like, you got a game plan. Would that be beneficial if we could do that for you?
Yeah, we could do that.
Cool. Super chill, super conversational, no pressure. And I'm just trying to figure out if I can help you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, there you go, listeners. You've got a real life, unexpected role play from a master sales coach and me, the host on this show. Well, this gives me a good opportunity to kind of break into the show to talk about our sponsor for today's episode. The sponsor for today's episode is our title sponsor, Dub. They've been with me for a long time, almost since the beginning. And they are the video messaging platform that helps you connect with your prospects, build trust, and close more deals faster. Dub has been a tool in my arsenal for a very long time, not only when I'm doing now as a coach and running a mastermind, but also back when I was running my other companies, lighting companies, electrical companies, and hard money lending companies. I can send videos right inside the email to people, and the connection is so much better than just sending a plain text email. I mean, let's face it, we all get 100 emails a day, most of which we never read. If you want to try out Dub, you get a special discount, plus you get first 2 months for 50% off. That's great. If you want to do that, just go to therealjasonduncan.com/dub, and that's spelled DUBB, therealjasonduncan.com/dub. Get started with your free trial today. Thank you, Dub, for being a sponsor. We love you guys. All right, back to the show. So, Vic, you use words like love, curiosity, connection as in the sales world, which is not normal because the sales world's often obsessed with hustle and hard closes, always be closing. How do you respond to people who think that your method softens the edge too much?
Oh, well, I first time I've ever heard that, because you get on a sales call with me, there's no soft edge. I'm straight hard in the paint from the time we get on the phone to the time you either tell me that you're not going to do something or you do something. And the reason I can go so hard in the paint is because of my love, because of my, right? Like behind this wall, if I sent you a picture, there's some construction paper. And when I came into the office, right, we're in a co-working space. It's not my space. I can't do all the things I want in the lobby. I just sat down, I meditated, and I was like pouring love into the office because I want everything in this office to radiate transformation. And I just started writing on the wall. Like I didn't, just for myself, I started writing on the wall. Like, we are here to serve. We are here for God. We are here for, our clients. Like, don't forget where you came from, right? Like, you are a leader, you are this, right? I just started putting all this messaging into here. And that's what you feel when you come into a call with me, right? So like people that think they need to be ABC, like I'll put their numbers to shame, because like you might hard close somebody, but you're going to have a really, really high cancel rate. You're going to have a very dissatisfied person. You're going to have people that feel buyer's remorse because you never got to their real, like I always say, you got to get the what behind the why, right? You want 4 bedrooms. Okay, cool. Well, that's obvious, Joe, Jason, you're like every Joe Blow's looking for a bigger or smaller house. Duh. Like nobody moves because they want a bigger house or a smaller house. They want what the extra space or the non-extra space gives them. And so for you, you're looking for an office. What are you looking for an office for? I have a co-working space. So what? Sounds like that's an awesome fucking trade-off, right? Because now you don't have to do what? You don't have to have your spouse around. You don't have to have the dogs. You don't have to have the UPS. You're like, no, I don't want to do that. Why not? Like, because there's something there. Well, it's a lot of money. Is it just the money or is there something else going on? Well, it's the money and I don't have my own space and I have to deal with the hours of the co-working space. I have to deal with this. I have to deal with that and blah, 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 blah. There's all these rules. I can't customize it the way I want. I don't control the lighting. Oh, is that important for you? Yeah. How come? Well, I run this podcast. You never heard of the Real Jason Duncan show? Like, no, it's like 400 podcasts, 400 episodes in almost. Like, so how would it be different if you could record from home versus there? Well, I could be more animated. I could do, oh, okay. How long have you been wanting that for? I've been wanting this for 2 years. 2 years? Why didn't you do anything about it? Well, rates are high, prices are high. Well, they still are, bro. I know, but now I'm just sick of going to that space and having to pay them $2,000 a month. And I figured, you know what? If we got an extra 2K, why don't we just put that into, oh, okay. Well, let's do this, man. Sounds like maybe what we do might right? Like you go deep into the pain. I never have to ask you one time what your time frame is. I never have to ask you one time any about your motivation. I don't have to ask you if you're financially qualified. Why? You're paying $2,000 a month, plus you're paying your current space. Oh, one last question, man. Your current home, do you rent it or own it? Oh, I own it. Cool. You're qualified. I don't have to ask you anything about money or time, which are the two biggest triggers that turn people off. Why? Because I know that you hate going into your office. And so right out the gate, when I sit down to you, I'm like, hey, bro, if I wanted to be gimmicky, I'll bring you a microphone. Go to Amazon, bring you a big ass microphone. Hey, bro, when you get your house, like if you buy one with me, do me a favor, put this on your shelf and be like, yo, that's my realtor, and give me props on your show. Cause I looked it up and it's like, holy crap, you're crushing it. Right. And now you're like, holy crap, this dude actually cares about me. Love, empathy, emotion, care. You won't like, I don't say I'm the best out there. There's probably other people better than me, but I'm in the top 9, like top 10%, like in the world, I would believe. But I think that when you come with a different approach, you get a different clientele. You get people that stick with you. You get people that refer you. You get people that they'll go to bat for you. It's not like, oh yeah, it's just Vic. It's like, no, that's like, you have to talk to him. Why? It's just different. Well, I don't know. He makes us do this like weird visualization meditations on all of our calls. Like we got to put our hands on our hearts and we cry. And it's just like, what the funk? You just got to go. You just got to show up to one of, like, it's the weirdest thing ever. And you're not going to want to do it. But then when you do it, you're like, oh my God, I never want to stop.
Yeah. Real estate has gone through a lot of massive shifts over the last few years. What trends are you seeing right now, and what are agents ignoring at their own risk?
The same thing they've always ignored, the same trends that have always been there. I mean, commissions are always trying to be ruined. That's not new. There's always going to be the discounter. That's not new. We got AI now, but technology's always been a disruptor. That's not new. What else do you got? You got some lawsuits and litigations. You got some new forms that people got to sign. That's not new. It's newer in the way that they're formatting it. So like you got to, go get, before you can show houses, you have to have a buyer agency agreement, which it makes sense to have everybody in full transparency of what's happening in the transaction. So like, that's not new. Buyers want to get the best price. Sellers want to get the best price. Well, that's not new. So nothing's changed really, bro. Nothing's changed. The names have changed. The way that the media's picked up on it has changed. There's some bigger national lawsuits that have kind of introduced some new rules, but I mean, isn't that always the case in every industry, that things are always constantly evolving?
Yeah.
The biggest thing that people don't realize is that sales is a process. So when people come to us, they're like, we need to work on our CRM. We need to work on our leads. We need to work on this and this and this. But if you put the cart before the horse and you build out your CRM and you build out your lead sources and you build out everything and you spend all your money on all that, but you don't know what to say to those people, you end up like most of my clients, 2,000 people in the database, and they still don't pick up the phone and call them. Why? They don't know what to say. They go to an open house. So like, we're great with people when we're in front of them. Awesome. How many people showed up to your open house? 20. Cool. How many appointments did you book out of that 20? Well, none. How come? Well, and they give you a bunch of excuses. I have a realtor. How do you know they have a realtor? Well, I asked them. They're not qualified. How do you know? I asked them. Why'd you ask them those questions? I don't know. That's what our broker told us to do. Well, that's not psychology. That's actually working against human behavior. Why didn't you ask them the same questions I asked you, Jason? I don't know, because nobody taught me. So do you want to learn that? Yes. If you don't, like I posted on Instagram today, if you don't learn how to communicate with people, AI is knocking on the door to take you out And there's already AI agents doing millions of dollars in sales. The only reason why somebody wouldn't work with an AI agent is because they want that personal human interaction, which you don't give them. So they're forced to go to the AI agent. It's the same thing that when I sold real estate 12, 15 years ago, when I got into the industry, the same problem I see then is the same problem I see now. You're using antiquated technology and communication, which is giving you antiquated results. The only thing now is back then it wasn't a problem. Now there's something to replace you, and the tech is it's gonna do it. And the ones that are gonna survive, they're gonna employ tech. The ones that die are gonna be replaced by tech. So you just got to learn how to communicate.
Right. So the name of the show is The Root of All Success. So I've got to ask this question: What would you say is your one key that has unlocked success for you more than anything else?
I knew that question was coming, and I thought I had a good answer, but I think I just always see myself as an underdog.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm worthy of success. I don't feel like I belong in the rooms of people like you. I don't feel like I've earned the seat at the table yet. I still see myself as a kid that Heidi's mom said that she can't go to prom with, and then she went to prom with a guy that was on the football team. And I'm like, well, that's super shitty. And so I think I just see myself as that underdog. And I always say we're a group of misfits that fit well together.
Yeah. So how do you personally define that word success?
Never giving up. It's not even never giving up. It's not, oh God, that's a tough one too. These are good questions. You should have asked those earlier. When people ask me how people in real estate say they want to be luxury agents, right? Everybody says, I want to service the luxury people. And I said, luxury is not a price point. Luxury is how you make people feel. It's about a service. It's about letting the guy that's buying a $200,000 condo that's so excited feel the same exact way as the person buying an $8 million house. In fact, it's probably a bigger deal for the 200 than the 8 million. Because the 8 million's like, they've done big things before. And so how do you make the 200,000 in a room of $8 million people feel exactly the same? It's how you treat people, right? And then when people show up to your party, the $4 million and the 8, it's giving me chills right now. They all feel that they're one. Nobody feels above anybody. We would do these custom client appreciation parties. And we had people in there that were, I mean, bro, these were like head people. And two of my clients, they made Zoom for Microsoft. No, what did they make? What was the thing before Zoom? Microsoft Spaces, something.
It was Teams. There's Teams.
It was before Teams. Bro, they created this program for Microsoft that sold for, it was hundreds of millions of dollars. And they got paid buco bucks. I didn't know it until after we closed. They're like, do you know who this guy was? I'm like, no. They're like, dude, this dude's fucking killing it, bro. I'm like, killing it? He's like, he could have bought 10 of those houses and it wouldn't even made a blip in his bank account. I'm like, really? He's so chill. He drives a crappy Honda. Like, he crashed it and I had to pull him. He was so embarrassed that he didn't have AAA that I had to take my truck and pull him out of the snow. He's like, dude, that guy's like 25 mil right now. I'm like, what? But every time I went to his house, I took a bottle of wine. I took what I could afford. They didn't drink it. They pulled out what they wanted to drink. That's totally cool. Right? Never hurt my feelings because I took what I could take.
Yeah.
Success is that, bro. Success is being happy where you're at, doing the best that you can do with what you have and striving to get better. It's not about like, dude, I don't know how much money you're worth. I know the people in the room that we met at were worth a lot more than me, but they never made me feel less than. And everything they do is to try to get us to elevate to get to where they're at. Right? Whatever that looks like for us, right? Maybe it's not a $25 million house and a $10 million lake house. But success is never giving up on your dream. And just remembering that, like, the minute you give up on your dream, that's when you became unsuccessful. It's not a dollar amount. It's not a house. It's not a figure, right? We live in this internal time. It's always working to that component, because then you're never unhappy.
Well, based on that definition, which I think is a clever way of looking at it, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Oh, dude, 100%.
Love it.
Bro. We get 1 to 3 client messages a day. I mean, 3 years ago, I was so poor that the IRS didn't even want to come after me to collect money. Right? My mom's texting me, "Hey, honey, this Wells Fargo thing's sending me a notice saying that your account's negative." I put in like 500, and she's like, "Maybe you should get a job." And I mean, I still have debt to this day. It's hard to climb out of $1 million in 16 months, right? But I paid off hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card. I paid off loans. I got money in the bank. I got, now I'm working on some tax stuff that I deferred, which, I just working on it. Right. Like,
yeah.
And I never filed for bankruptcy. I never took government handouts. Right. Like, I just worked my way through my shit, and I lived a life like that. I mean, I flew more business class, $1 million in debt, than I did when I was making $1 million a year. It's weird how, like, I bought a rental property with $600,000 in debt somehow, and when I made $1 million, I didn't buy shit. And so, like, I lost the rental property. I had to sell it. But success is like, dude, I got people now that tell me, it makes me, like, every day I wake up with such gratitude because I get to change lives, because I changed my life. So every day I consider myself successful. It doesn't always feel financially successful where I'd like to be, but emotionally successful. Like, bro, we change lives every day. This podcast changes lives. Like, this is a success.
Well, I appreciate your candor and your transparency. And I know that there are listeners right now that want to reach out and get in touch with you. So what is the best way for them to connect with you?
If you want to send hate mail, let me send you to my business partner. Instagram, Coach Vikram Deol, VIKRAMDEOL. I should only be the only one so far, but if somebody wants to steal my likeness and put a cowboy hat on, like, you're welcome to.
Yeah, Coach Vikram Deol on Instagram, and we will have this in the show notes too, so you'll be able to click a link through there. But man, I'm really honored that you're on the show. Thank you for sharing candidly your stories of failures and success, and what you've gone through, and the heart that you have in sales. I really, really appreciate you sharing that today on the show. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, there you have it. Another successful person, another entrepreneur digging through the crap that we all have to go through and making something of it. But right now, you know what time it is? It's time for another edition of JD's Public Service Rants. This is the part of the show where I call out the little things that shouldn't have to be said, but clearly they do. So if you're guilty of this one, well, consider yourself officially put on notice. I want to talk to you, person who leaves voicemails. It's 2025. We have text messages, we have voice notes, we have email, and about 1,000 other ways to communicate. So why are you still leaving voicemails? No one listens to them. No one wants to listen to them. And if you call and it goes to voicemail, just hang up. Send a text message like a normal person. Unless you're my grandmother, in which case you would get a pass on that. So there you have it. That's it for today's JD Public Service Rants. If you've got an idea for one of these, please send it my way. And remember, don't be that guy. Again, big thanks to Vikram Deol for being my guest on the show today. It's an honor to have a conversation with him, just like I have with so many other amazing guests. Make sure you tune in again next week when I talk with yet another amazing guest about his or her journey to success. Until then, as always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.